Hello dear students, welcome to the third session of the topic verbs. Well, in our previous session we dealt with verbs. I hope you have understood what is a verb. When we were discussing verbs, I had told you that verbs are mainly divided into two kinds. One is principal verbs or main verbs and auxiliary verbs. Well, in the last two sessions we had discussed principal or main verbs in detail. We had talked about regular and irregular verbs, 5 principal parts of verbs, and we had also seen the difference between present participle, that is ing form of the verb, and a gerund. I hope you have understood whatever we had discussed in the last two sessions. Today in this session, let us continue with the next type of verb, that is auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verbs are also called helping verbs. Well, when we were discussing the main verb, I had told you that principal verb occurs within the sentence and completes the action on its own. It can stand alone. It doesn't take the help of any other verbs to complete the action. So, if a verb does not take the help of any other verbs to complete the action, that is principal or main verb. When it comes to auxiliary or helping verbs, they are used along with main verbs to complete the action. So, auxiliary verbs are divided into two kinds. First one is primary auxiliary verbs. And the next one is modal auxiliary verbs. So auxiliary verbs are used along with the main verbs to complete the action in a sentence, and these auxiliary or helping verbs are divided into two kinds. One is primary auxiliary verb and modal auxiliary verb. So I hope you have understood what is an auxiliary verb. Let us now take the first one, primary auxiliary verb, and discuss more about it. Primary auxiliary verbs. These primary auxiliary verbs come under the forms of be, have, and do. So primary auxiliary verbs, they come under the forms of be, have, and do. So under be form you have am, is, are, was, and were. So under be form you have am, is, are, was, and were. Under have form you have the auxiliary verb have, has, and had. So you have 3 auxiliary verbs under have. So under do form you have do, does, did. Do, does, did. So these are the very significant auxiliary verbs. Under be form, these am, is, are, was, and were are known as be form of auxiliary verbs. Have, has, had are called have form of auxiliary verbs. Do, does, did are known as do form of auxiliary verbs. Well, these primary auxiliary verbs like be form of auxiliary verbs, have form of auxiliary verbs, and do form of auxiliary verbs are used to make tenses. They are used to make tenses, and they are also used to make passive form, and to make questions, and to make negatives. So as we all know, there are 12 different types of tenses. So in order to make all the tenses, we need these auxiliary verbs, and along with that, to make passive forms, we need some of these auxiliary verbs, and to make questions and to make negatives, these auxiliary verbs are very essential. We take the help of these auxiliary verbs to do all these things. And now here under be form you have 5 auxiliary verbs. They are am, is, are, was and were. So the first one, am, is used along with the pronoun I. So it is used only with I in the present tense. This auxiliary verb am is used along with I only in the present tense. Like if I say I am a teacher, I am a teacher. Here this auxiliary verb is used with I. So next, in order to make the tense, it can also be used like I am working on a project. I am working on a project. Like this, only in the present tense, am is used only with I. Next one, is. So this is a singular auxiliary verb, and this auxiliary verb is used with singular subjects. So like it is used with he, she, it. He, she, it. So with these singular subjects, is used in present tense. In past tense, was is used with singular subjects like he, she, it. So is and was are used along with singular subjects. Is used in the present tense and was is used along with the singular subject in the past tense. Next, are and were. The same way, is used with singular noun and are is used with plural noun. And are is used with plural noun in the present tense, whereas were is used along with the plural subject or plural noun in the past tense. For example, using is, you can write he is helping the poor. He is helping the poor. And using was, you can write it as he was helping the poor. He was helping the poor. So in the first sentence, the auxiliary verb is used along with the singular noun. Thus, a singular verb must agree with the singular subject. Singular subject takes singular verb. So this is used in the present continuous tense. He is helping the poor. The first sentence is in present continuous tense. So thus the auxiliary verb is used in the construction of sentences in the present tense. Next, you have he was helping the poor. I have taken the same example, but I have just changed the auxiliary verb. So he is becomes he was helping the poor. In the second sentence, I am talking about the action that has already been done. So is changed into was, and he was helping the poor. So here the sentence has been written in the past continuous tense. Something has already been taken place, the past. So he was helping the poor. Next, I'll take this auxiliary verb are. So they is the plural subject here. So along with they, plural verb should be used. Plural auxiliary verb should be used. So they are fighting for the nation. They are fighting for the nation. They are fighting for the nation. So here are is the plural auxiliary verb, and it is used with the plural subject, and this is used along with the main verb to complete the action. So this sentence is written in present continuous tense. They are fighting for the nation. Next, I'll take the same example but different auxiliary verb. They were fighting for the nation. They were fighting for the nation. The second sentence, are has changed into were because this sentence is in past continuous tense. They were fighting for the nation. So this is used with the principal ing form of the verb, and this sentence is written in past continuous tense. The verb were is a plural auxiliary verb which can be used in the past tense. So it is, this sentence is in past continuous tense, and this is used with plural subject, plural pronoun they. So next is have form of auxiliary verb. So under have form you have three auxiliary verbs like have, has and had. Have is used with plural subjects or plural pronouns. Next, has is used with singular subjects in the present tense. These two, have and has, are used in the present tense. So here have and has are used in the present tense. They are specifically used in the present perfect tense. Have is used along with plural subjects and has is used along with the singular subjects. The last one, had, is used to construct sentences in the past perfect tenses. So have and has are used in present perfect tense, whereas had is used in past perfect tense. I have told you that have is used with plural subjects, but there is an exception for the usage of this have along with I. So we know that I is a singular pronoun, but here have is used with this I, which is a singular subject. So I have purchased books. So here I is a singular pronoun, but along with I, have is used because, as I have already told you, there is an exception for this auxiliary verb. It can be used along with I and plural subjects, other plural subjects. And we. So we is a plural pronoun. Along with we, the same verb have can be used. So like we have achieved our goal. So have is a plural auxiliary verb, and this is used with plural subjects or plural noun. We have achieved our goal. And next is has. Has is a singular auxiliary verb, singular have form of auxiliary verb, and this is specifically used with singular subjects or singular pronouns. Like he has changed his name. So here he is the third person singular pronoun, and along with a singular subject has, which is a singular auxiliary verb is used. So along with he, a singular auxiliary verb has is used. You can also take she, because he, she, it are the third person singular pronouns. So along with she, so she has gone for a walk. She has gone for a walk. So here you can understand has is used with a singular subject she, and it has started working. It has started working. So like he has changed his name, she has gone for a walk, it has started working. So like this we can use the auxiliary verb has along with singular subjects. Next, take the last one, had. As I have already told you, had is used in the past perfect tense. So in past perfect tense we can write like they had fought for the nation. They had fought for the nation. You can write it like they had fought for the nation. So when it comes to the past, these have and has are changed into had. So have and has are used in present perfect tense, whereas had is used in past perfect tense. So next you have do form of auxiliary verbs, do, does and did. These do form of auxiliary verbs are mainly used to make questions and negatives. So we'll discuss more about do form of auxiliary verbs when we deal with the question forms. So students, I had already told you that these auxiliary verbs or helping verbs are used along with main verbs in order to complete the action in a sentence. But many a time what happens is that we won't be having any main verbs in some sentences. What do you think? What word could be the main verb there? Let me give you two examples. So here you have two examples. Rubina is eating pizza and Rubina is a girl. Here is an auxiliary verb, and in the first sentence is used with a main verb in order to complete the action. Rubina is eating pizza. So here eating or the base form of this verb, eat, is the main verb. Eating is the main verb or a principal verb, and whereas is the auxiliary verb. But in the second sentence, you don't have any principal verb, but you have only the auxiliary verb is. So Rubina is a girl. So this sentence tells us the state of being. First, in the first sentence you have a main verb that shows some action, but whereas in the second sentence you don't have any main verb or principal verb, you only have the auxiliary verb is. In this case, is can be both a main verb and an auxiliary verb. So here Rubina is a girl, that expresses the state of being. Here the auxiliary verb is both main verb and an auxiliary verb. I hope you have understood this. Now let us move on to the next one, modal auxiliary verbs. So now modals or modal auxiliary verbs. Modal auxiliary verbs are also called modals. So let's now see what are the modal auxiliary verbs. Here you can see modal auxiliary verbs like can, could, may, might, will, would, shall, should, must and ought. So here the verb could is the past equivalent of can. Might is the past equivalent of the modal auxiliary verb may. And would is the past equivalent of the modal will. And the should is the past equivalent of the modal shall. So these are the very important modal auxiliary verbs. So these modal auxiliary verbs are used along with principal verbs or ordinary verbs to express meaning like possibility and certainty and permission and capability, necessity. So these modal auxiliary verbs are used along with ordinary verbs to express meaning such as possibility, certainty, permission, capability and necessity. Let's see a few examples for these modal auxiliary verbs. Here you have very few examples for modal auxiliary verbs. So take the first one, I can swim across the river. Here the modal auxiliary verb is can. So this modal auxiliary verb can is used along with main verb swim to express the meaning capability. This modal auxiliary verb can expresses the meaning like capacity or your ability. Here can is used to express the meaning like ability of this particular person. So next one, you can come or you may go. Two sentences. I have written two sentences here. You can come or you may go. So here can and may, two modal auxiliary verbs, they are used here to express meaning like permission. And here he said I might go. Again the permission. So here the modal auxiliary verb might, which is the past equivalent of this modal may, is used here to express the meaning like permission. So next you have, will you please lend me some money? So here in this sentence, will is the modal auxiliary verb. Here will is used to express the meaning like request. So here the modal will is used along with the main verb lend to request. So next, would you please write a letter for me? Here the would is past equivalent of will, but when you use would instead of will, you can also ask, will you please write a letter for me? It is also correct usage. That is not wrong. But when you use would instead of will to request, would is more polite than will. Okay. So, would you please write a letter for me is also a request. So, in order to express the meaning such as capacity, permission, request, necessity, possibility, so these modal auxiliary verbs are used. So, these are the very important modal auxiliary verbs which are used along with the main verbs to complete the action. So, dear students, so far we had discussed two important types of verbs, main verbs and auxiliary verbs. I hope you have understood because we have studied main verbs and auxiliary verbs in detail. So, let us now discuss another two types of verbs, transitive and intransitive verb. What is a transitive verb? A transitive verb is a word that denotes an action which passes over from the subject or doer to an object of the same sentence. Let us understand with an example. The man loves his children. So, the man loves his children. Here, man is the subject, loves is the verb, and his children is an object of this sentence. As I have already told you, a transitive verb is a word that expresses or that denotes an action which passes over from the subject or the doer to the object of the same sentence. Here, man is the subject and here he is the doer of this action. So, love is a word that expresses or that shows the action of this particular subject. So, he is the doer, love is the verb and his children is the object. So, now as I have told you, if the action of this subject, love is the action word which is a verb, if the action of this subject man passes over to the object, it is a transitive verb. Okay. So, that the word love which is an action word is a transitive verb here. If the action of this subject passes over to the object, the verb is a transitive verb. So, if it is so, then what is an intransitive verb? So, intransitive verb is a verb which denotes an action and which does not pass over to the object. For example, the baby laughs. So, here baby is the subject, laugh is a verb which denotes an action. But the action of this subject baby does not pass over to any object here because this sentence doesn't have any object. So, it is very simple that if a verb has any object, then it is a transitive verb because that verb or that action will pass over to the object. If a sentence doesn't have any object, then the verb is intransitive verb. If the action of the subject passes over to the object, then it is transitive. If the action of the subject does not pass over to the object, it is an intransitive verb. So, always transitive verbs will have objects in the sentence, whereas intransitive verbs will not have any object to it. Now, let's see more examples for transitive and intransitive verbs. So, here you can see I have written a few examples for transitive verb. The first example, the doctor cured him. So, here in this sentence, cured is the verb. This is the transitive verb. So, here this is the action of the subject doctor. So, the action of this subject is passing over to the object him. So, here him is the object, so that the cured is the transitive verb. In the next sentence, she crossed the river. Here the word crossed is the verb and this is the action of the subject she. So, she crossed. She crossed what? She crossed the river. So, that river is the object here. So transitive verbs will always have the object to receive the action of the subject. Here you have the object in these sentences, and what do? They receive the action of this subject. They receive the action of this subject. So in the same way, Rohan kicked the ball. Rohan kicked. Kicked is the verb. He kicked what? He kicked the ball. So here the ball is the object and this receives the action of the subject Rohan. And the professor teaches. So if you have the professor teaches, only the professor teaches, then the verb teaches is an intransitive verb. But in this sentence, you have the professor teaches his students. So here you have the object his students, so that this object receives the action of teaching from the subject professor. So the professor teaches his students. Here teaches is the transitive verb. So I hope you have understood transitive verb. And here in intransitive verb, so the first sentence, the bell rang loudly. Here the word rang is the verb which shows the action of ringing, and the bell is the subject. But here loudly is not the object here in this sentence, but loudly is an adverb. Loudly is an adverb. So the first sentence does not have any object. So since this verb rang does not have any object to transfer the action of this subject to the object, it is an intransitive verb. Rang does not have any object. If the action of this subject passes over to the object, then it is not the intransitive verb, it is a transitive verb. So since you don't have any object in this sentence, the verb rang is an intransitive verb. And this horse never kicks. So here horse is the subject, kick is the verb, the action of kicking. So this action of this subject does not pass to any object here because this sentence doesn't have any object. So the verb kick or kicks is an intransitive verb. So next, birds fly. Birds subject, fly is the verb. So here similarly you don't have any object, so that the action of this subject birds does not pass to any object. It does not transfer to any object. So the verb fly is an intransitive verb. So if you go through with any of the English grammar text, English grammar books, you can see more examples for transitive and intransitive verbs. So here transitive and intransitive verbs are very important in order to understand active and passive voice clearly, in order to understand active and passive voice properly. So I hope you have understood this topic, verbs, and if you learn this topic, if you study this topic properly, definitely it is going to help for your examination, not only for your PUC examination, but also for your further competitive exams. So this topic verbs will also help you to understand active and passive voice, tenses, direct, indirect speech. Whatever you study in grammar, verbs are very significant words. So let me conclude my session here. I will see you in my next video. Till then, thank you.